One of the first things that we heard from Rob Pelinka yesterday was that the Lakers extended JJ Redick. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, when I heard that, I'm like, what's he talking about? What do you mean you extended him? He just came in last year. For those who don't remember, JJ Redick signed a 4-year deal with the Lakers last season. He's 1 year in. He's got 3 years left on his contract. My first reaction was, well, why? Why are you extending JJ Redick? I'm just kind of play this out for you guys, what was going on through my mind, and then, we'll go from there of what potentially some of the reasons were. But one of the big pieces of information yesterday was JJ Redick signs a new extension with the Lakers. And I saw something that Dave McMenamin put out this morning, or maybe put it out yesterday, that there's no details of the new deal, but that Shams says that it's a multi-year extension. So it's at least a 2-year extension, which means JJ Redick is getting paid for the Lakers for at least the next 5 years after the 1 year that he served with the Lakers last season. Why are they giving him an extension? What's kind of the purpose or the reason of that? If I want to play this out from well, let the man kind of prove his value and his worth. What I would say is 3 years is already plenty of years left on his contract. There's no need to extend him. Let this man kind of play out. All right, he had first year. Nobody should really argue about JJ Redick's first year, and they really shouldn't argue. And I know people want to complain about the playoffs, which I'm one of them. But, I mean, at the end of the day, go look at that Lakers roster. Go look at the trade they made for Luka. Just look at how many holes were in that roster last season. You don't have a big, you don't have enough size, you don't have enough defense, you don't have enough rebounding. You're just not going to win in the playoffs, period. Even though a lot of us probably thought that Lakers were going to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. Every expert, I mean, what was it? I forget. I'm forgetting off the top of my head. It might have been ESPN, but all 10 experts picked the Lakers over the Minnesota Timberwolves 5 games, 6 games, something along those lines. And obviously it didn't happen. But I don't blame JJ Redick solely for the loss in the playoffs. But I'll go back to this. I'm a little confused on the extension. And I guess my confusion on the extension is just simply he already had 3 years left under his belt. Why don't you just see how the next 2 years go? And then you can make a determination of, hey, this guy is doing exactly what we asked from him. This guy is clearly going to be the next head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers for years to come. Hey, this is the next, I don't know, you put whatever, you don't want to compare him to a Pat Riley or an Eric Spoelstra. Why would you even do that? These are all-time greats or are some of the best that have represented the NBA over the years. Let's not put that type of pressure on him, but you can clearly see in the next couple of years, you're going to have a great idea of whether JJ Redick should be the head coach of the Lakers for an extension. The only thing that I could think of why the Lakers are already acting 1 year into JJ Redick's career with the Los Angeles Lakers and saying, let's give this man an extension, whatever it is, a 2-year deal, a 3-year deal. I have no idea. There's a couple different angles that I could look at to try to, I guess, make a case for the Lakers of why they felt like we got to do this and we got to do this right now. One thing I would say is we don't need to see anymore. The Lakers front office could simply have just said to themselves, we got our guy. We got our guy. The guy is committed to the job. He's almost psychotic when it comes to the work ethic. All he thinks about is basketball. He breathes, lives, and dies NBA basketball and Lakers basketball. He's super young. We don't even want the thought process of JJ Redick to have different teams out there that are saying, hey, how many more years does JJ Redick have on his contract? Okay, cool. Why don't we circle trying to garner interest of JJ Redick if he wants to come coach our team, where maybe Lakers was his first stop, but then the second stop's going to be somewhere else, and he's going to be much more educated and much more experienced by just having a couple years under his belt. It could just be as simple as we got our guy. Where maybe they didn't feel that with some of these other coaches. Maybe they didn't think that, the way the Lakers have treated coaches since, you want to say, maybe Byron Scott. I mean, just think about how many different coaches they've recycled over the years. I'm certainly missing somebody, but Byron Scott, Luke Walton, Frank Vogel. I mean, I kind of go down the list here of Darvin Ham. In a very short window, the Lakers have recycled coaches. In my opinion, it's been a really bad look for the Lakers organization that they can't identify the right coach, or they're not giving the right coach the proper amount of time, or they're not giving the right roster to a championship head coach or a head coach out there. So maybe that has something to do with it as well. Lakers are trying to establish, like, that's it. We don't want to deal with this headache anymore. We're giving JJ Redick an extension, and that's our coach for the next handful of years. I still think with 3 years left on his contract, you didn't have to do it now. Maybe you waited another year to then decide, we got our guy, let's give him an extension. You could have waited 2 more years and then decided in the final year of his contract, let's go ahead and make this happen. But there's got to be a reason of why the Lakers did it. I did think it was a little bit of a surprise yesterday, just not something that I was expecting. I didn't expect to walk into that presser and a coach that's been a head coach for 1 year is already getting an extension. So that part I was a little thrown off by. And I got some quotes here that I do want to read because I think it will tell a little bit of Pelinka's perspective and it will tell a little bit of JJ Redick's perspective. The only other thing that I could think of as well, did new ownership just come in and just say, listen, I can't go pay I got a certain amount of dollars that I can spend when it comes to my roster and the salary cap. But where I can spend as much money as I want is in my front office and my coaching staff and my scouting and all that other stuff. The new ownership say, you guys good with JJ? Yep, we're all good. You think JJ is going to be a good coach in the NBA for years to come? Absolutely, he's going to be a great coach for years to come. Cool. Go ahead and lock him up, and let's not worry about a head coach anymore for the next 4 or 5 years, and let's just keep things moving. So let me read a couple of the quotes here, and then I will look at I'll take a look at some of your guys' thoughts and comments, and if you guys feel kind of the same way I feel, where it was a little bit of a surprise and probably unnecessary at this stage of JJ Redick's contract. I mean, he had a 4-year contract anyways, but I'll look at your guys' thoughts. Here's what he said. This is Rob Pelinka. He says, we think he's a special coach with a special voice that's really helping us define the culture of Lakers excellence. We just want to make a clear statement that this is what we believe in, what we're going to lean into, and what our players are going to mold into as we continue to develop the identity. I think having long-term planning is helpful as we build this team and go forward. Pelinka also said, Redick's extension was one of the finishing touches on what Pelinka called an intentional and productive offseason. I will say this as well. Could some of this also be tied to Luka? Could Luka be saying, yeah, I'm good with JJ? I mean, the longer you have JJ here, the more comfortable I'm going to be here. Could it just be as simple as that? Could there have been a side conversation that Pelinka's having with Luka Doncic and also with his agent and just saying, what did you think of JJ Redick in the time that you had with him? Yep, this is the guy. I've been coached by many different, players in my career internationally here in the NBA, had Jason Kidd. Yep, I got no question about it. JJ Redick is the right guy for this team, and he's the right guy for me. Listen, if that was the case, obviously that has a lot of influence as well. I'm going to read one thing JJ Redick said. Let me see here. This one is on. I'll have to find it. Give me 2 seconds to find it. But I want JJ Redick's response as well, because Redick had something to the extent of basically, don't think I don't realize how big of a deal this is, basically for himself, that they're already committing to the Lakers, or they're already committing to him. Here's what he said. He said, it's not lost on me, this sort of rarity of a first-time head coach getting an extension. I recognize how fortunate I am to be in an organization that supports me in that way. So maybe even for JJ Redick, he's a little surprised that he got that extension 1 year into his coaching career. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Let's read what people got to say, and then we can go from there. Let's see. John Ferris. John, what's up, brother? John, good to see you. Thank you for being here. I am so mystified by this. He had 3 years and gets an extension. Makes absolutely no sense. Let him prove himself. Lakers mismanagement, a bad business decision. Okay. Yep. Again, this for me, if I'm looking at this in a couple different directions, and again, let me say this, because I don't want to be coming off that I don't think JJ Redick is going to have success in the NBA. I thought JJ Redick was very, very good in his first year as the head coach of the Lakers. He said something yesterday that I think Mike Trudell had asked the question, how do you reflect on your first season? The last time we really got a chance to talk about JJ Redick or talk to JJ Redick was right after the season ends. You don't really have an opportunity to reflect. What are things you liked? What are things you disliked? Where do you think you're going from here? Whatever the case is, right? He said something that one of the things that he feels like he's going to learn from is kind of churning on and off that button. He might be a certain way when the game starts. He doesn't have to be that same way post game or that same way pre-game. If you're going to run a marathon, you don't have to sprint the entire way. Kind of pace yourself. I do think JJ Redick's a good coach, but I think I do fall with John on this one. What's the extension for? For what? You got plenty of time. Let's just say hypothetically, Lakers have a down year. And let's say some of that has to do with coaching. Let's just say that it's not going as planned. And some of that blame is on JJ Redick. Well, now you're basically guaranteed to have JJ Redick for 5 years under contract. Look, maybe money doesn't mean anything. And the new ownership group's like, yeah, that doesn't mean these pennies on the dollar of what we're paying this guy. But that part's a little bit different. All right, let's see what we got here. Let me look at a couple more. JJ received an extension to show stability. I think there's something to that. I think there's a little bit of, we have our guy established as our head coach. He's not going anywhere. And we don't have to worry. But can I be honest with you? 3 years on a contract as a head coach, isn't that sort of stability? I got to get a sip of coffee. Let me get a sip of coffee in there. Isn't that already stability? I think there definitely is already stability based off of that. Extension to match Luka contract. I don't think it is, Craig, because I think what is he? He's got 4 years. No, you could say maybe probably close to that. Maybe give or take a year, something along those lines. Let me read a couple more of these, and then we'll move on to another topic. Does anybody remember if Vogel or Luke Walton stayed longer? I want to say Luke, even though Vogel won the ring in 2020. I think one of the worst looks from the Lakers is how many coaches they've recycled over the years. So I don't think that's been all that great of a look. All right, let's keep looking here. Redick may have a little leverage right now. Again, 3 years I thought was plenty of time, and I still think has leverage because there's also a Lakers team that doesn't want to keep recycling coaches. If we were trying to build a culture, it's great to keep the head of the organization as stable as possible. Staff isn't capped, so new ownership won't mind. Maybe pennies on the dollar. What are we paying this guy? $8 million a year? Yeah, sure. That's no problem at all. They're printing money over there. Coaches can step down anytime. 3 years in the NBA short. If Redick gets offered a big contract to DV, I'll keep this one up here for a quick second. I think he's all in on the coaching thing. I think he can always be, it almost, when you're this young of a head coach and you're just getting a taste of it and there's the competition factor of it, and don't get me wrong, it's probably a grind. This guy can coach in the NBA for 20 years, 15 years and then go do TV and get paid unbelievable amount of money. So I don't think he's going I don't think that kind of comes into play. Thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.